Welcome to Raiders Roundtable, brought to you by America First Credit Union. I'm JT. That's the great Eric Allen. And EA, another tough loss for the Silver and Black.
Yeah.
A really tough one. And another game where the Raiders opened up with the lead and looked like they were taking control of the game early.
Yeah, excited about that first drive, obviously, when you're talking about this Raiders team and getting the vibe, getting momentum, starting early. All those things are great, but it's about finish. And again, we were not able to finish for several reasons, obviously, turnovers and lack of execution. And just when you get in the wrong situations, you have these young players who are trying to provide great effort for a football team. But in the end, just lack of execution, definitely some missed opportunities out there for us, and another loss for a Raider Nation, and just disappointing. When you come down to it, JT, we're all frustrated about the product on the football field, and I think that's going to be shown here today on our show.
Yeah, what bothers me is they get off to good starts. They did in Denver. They could have went up 17-3. That didn't happen. But this game, I thought it could have been managed to halftime with the lead. There were a couple of big turnovers there right before the half there that took the momentum away that the Raiders earned early in that game, especially on those scripted plays and that opening drive where they seemed to be locked in.
And you're right about that, because what the Steelers are going to come to the ballpark with. Defensively, how they're going to come at you. They're going to pressure the quarterback. They're going to play some zone, some cover one. In the back end, offensively, they're going to pound the run. They're going to try and get the running back hires going. So as an offense, to get that early start was critical and key. And I thought those first scripted plays worked perfectly. But after that, you have to adjust to the adjustments, and that's something we haven't done a good job of. Once they take away maybe the run or the quick screens, or the quick passing game, we don't really have that counterpunch right now. And I'm not sure if it's because we don't have Devontae. We didn't have Jacoby Myers yesterday. They kind of took Brock away from us at critical moments, but this football team needs to find a way offensively to have that counterpunch, and we haven't had that either through scheming or player-wise. And right now, that's definitely an issue, JT.
The early part of this season has been defined by turnovers and penalties. They're last in the league in differential at -10. And the penalties, they were really clean last year under Antonio Pierce. And you don't practice penalties, and there's only so many things you can do. But the penalties yesterday were a killer.
Yeah.
When they happened down in distance, you say to yourself, it just killed the momentum here, and they don't seem to be reacting to those penalties and turnovers where they get up off the mat like a boxer and they come out fighting again.
Yeah, and a lot of the penalties are what we call effort penalties, where you're trying to get that extra yard, you're trying to find a way to secure the tackle. As we see here, just this situation is you're trying to continue your block. And that's what coaches talk about all the time, in their meetings, offensive line-wise. Hey, man, stay on him, stay tough, continue to be physical, and that's what we see here. He's not trying to feign the defense into a passing block situation. He's trying to be physical. He's trying to stay with the block, and just unnecessary.
You gotta be kidding me with that call.
Yes.
99 times out of 100, it's not called. But here's T.J. Watt punching the ball out on a play where the Raiders thought they got in on the play before. These are the type of mistakes you can't make, because T.J. Watt here isn't even going for the tackle.
Right.
He's going for the punch out, and you had to know that was happening coming into this game.
But both of those plays were effort plays. The guy is trying to do what he thinks is best, that he's been coached up to do. When you're near the goal line, what are you supposed to do? Keep the legs driving, keep your head forward, try and fall into the end zone. No, you don't want to extend the ball, but those are all effort plays. But again, you're asking young players who haven't been in that situation with this football team, to have those effort plays. So as a coach, you don't want to stop that effort. You just have to clean up. Execution is the key. Attention to details are the key to getting these things cleaned up. But those are very, very devastating penalties and turnovers in situations. We're in the red zone, where areas we have to get away with at least 3 points, which if you're not getting away, if you're not getting 7 points.
Mike Tomlin came into the game knowing that Justin Fields is limited as a passer, so they were going to go with Najee Harris. And he had a big game. It was the hits that he took and being able to run through them. At times it took 4 or 5 Raiders to take him to the ground. That's got to be better. The missed tackles, the inability to get low. You talked to me about that before the game.
Right.
If you're going to tackle this guy, you got to go with the ankles.
Right.
You can't bring him down from his shoulder pads.
Yeah, once again, it's not about effort, right? It's about technique. It's about execution. It's okay for a defensive lineman at that first level to go up high, but as the running back gets to the second level and the third level, you don't see anyone down there trying to tie his shoes, do you, JT? And that's where I'd be, JT. I'd be down there around the guy's ankles, getting low, so he's not able to drive his feet. So it's not about effort. It's about technique. That play there, as a corner, when you see that hole open up, you got to attack the hole. You can't settle. So that's on me as a defender, knowing that I'm a cornerback. I'm a safety. You're going against a big running back. You don't want to give him that opportunity to give you that in and out move. You have to go and shoot and throw yourself at his lower leg to be able to get him up in the air. That's the kind of technique it's about. It's not about effort right now. We're not talking about effort. We're not talking about guys not being responsible and wanting to attack. We're talking technique right now. We're talking about discipline. Those are the things that are keeping us in these situations where these running backs are able to get yards after contact, because after that second level, man, you got to go low. You got to find a way to get it done. That goes back to practice. And practice now, because of the injuries, you can't really go full speed in practice. You can't take guys to the ground. It's week 5, week 6. So that takes individuals going out to practice, after practice is over, getting in your own work, getting your own preparation. So in game time, you know it's not a thing that you're thinking about. It's a muscle memory thing. It's things that you've practiced on your own in practice, which is very important.
When we come back, the MVP, Rich Gannon, will give us his analysis of the game as we continue on Raiders Roundtable. Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hey Raider Nation, when you come to see the Raiders take the field at Allegiant Stadium, you should do it from the best seats in the house. So grab an ice cold Coors Light, and you can enter to win tickets for these Coors Light silver seats at Allegiant Stadium. With plush seating, state-of-the-art beverage coolers, and wireless phone chargers, there's no better place to watch your Raiders bring home the win. Celebrate responsibly.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
Dude, you were looking ice cold.
You look ice cold, bro.
Guys, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
Let's do it.
There comes a day
When I'll be the one
you dream.
it's gonna.
It's gonna be Ray.
Dude, are you crying?
It's in our very nature to find exhilaration in the new, to seek the excitement of the unexpected, an endless yearning to experience what lies beyond the everyday.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks, making them America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. Introducing the new 2024 Ford F-150 and Ford Super Duty, the 2024 North American Truck of the Year. This is the next generation of Built Ford Tough. See your Ford dealer today and celebrate leadership with special offers on Ford F-Series.
Celebrate 65 seasons of Raiders football. Be a part of our legacy with a special edition brick featuring the exclusive 65-year anniversary logo. Get your brick installed at Allegiant Stadium, along with a replica for your home or office. Order now and support the Raiders Foundation, benefiting military and veterans, wellness initiatives, and youth development. Secure your place in Raiders history today at RaidersFoundationBricks.com. Welcome back, everyone. Our MVP, Rich Gannon, joins us. And, Rich, this game was about penalties. It was so costly, they flipped the game.
Yeah, just critical mistakes, guys. And, you know, when you're on thin ice, I mean, you have to have a clean performance. We talked about this. You got a good team coming in, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have some confidence. They have a really good defense. And, you know, you have to be able to make the plays when they're there to be had. I think when you go back and look at it, you know, it just drives me crazy. The Raiders get off to these good starts, and then they take their foot off the pedal. They make mistakes. Turnovers are a big part of it. You know, they're not good enough right now to be able to overcome the missed assignments, the mental errors, the penalties, the turnovers. It's just too much right now. I think they need a reality check. I mean, they're a minus 12 right now. And the plus-minus turnover ratio. I'm sorry, minus 10. It's the worst in the league. And, you know, you've given it away 12 times. You've only taken it away twice, which is the fewest in the NFL. So, you know, you can't win games that way. And I think these players, especially the young players, you know, Dylan Lowby gets a chance to come into the game, and he doesn't realize that EA and I were talking about this before, like the speed of the game is so different than anything he's anticipated. He comes in the game, he puts it on the ground. Abdullah puts it on the ground. And not only that, but where they're putting it on the ground. You know, Aiden throws the interception coming out of the end zone. I mean, just the Raiders are just keep shooting themselves in the foot, and they're just not good enough from a personnel standpoint right now to be able to overcome all the mistakes.
Yeah, Rich, following up on that, when you have young players who you're relying on in those situations as a quarterback, what do you talk to those young players about if you have a history of right now, you know, just putting your team in difficult situations because of the fumbles and the lack of detail and execution? What do you tell those young players if you need those guys to win ball games?
It's a great point. You know, you've got a quarterback that's coming in for the first time this year, and Aiden O'Connell, this first start, I should say. And, you know, I think you've got to take ownership. You've got to take control of it. And I think it has to start at the top with the head coach, with the coordinators, to be able to impress upon the players that, look, we got to go out, and for us to win, we have to play clean. We cannot have mistakes. We're just not good enough to overcome them. And everyone has to take better care of the football. I think defensively, you know, it's hard. The other thing, EA, as you know, it's hard to create negative plays when you're constantly playing from behind, right? Like the sacks and the interceptions and the forced fumbles, the big plays when the team's playing with the lead and they're taking the air out of the ball and they're running it. It's hard to come up with those negative plays. So that's kind of what's happening. I think the Raiders are turning it over. They're on the field too much. They're not running the ball. We talk about the rushing differential every week. That's a big story. You know, the Steelers rushed the ball for 183 yards yesterday. And keep in mind, if you're a Raider fan, that's not a good Pittsburgh offense. It really isn't. That's not a great offense. And they have their own issues.
Yeah.
They came in there yesterday and they had their way with the Raiders. So, you know, I'm disappointed with what we're seeing right now. You know, I don't know if there's an easy fix. But it really gets back to, you know, you get out of it what you put in. The practices have to be different, but they've got to go back to the basics. They're just not playing good, sound, fundamental football right now.
Yeah, Rich, 17 of Pittsburgh's points were turned over from the Raider turnovers here. That was really the key to this game. An interception, roughing the passer. Ball gets down to the goal line. They don't challenge it. It's a touchdown. Then there's a mistake and a turnover there. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. But what I wanted to ask you most importantly was when the Raiders got the ball back, the 3-and-outs and running on second down and not being able to pick up first downs easier was still at this point. And there was no Devontae and Jacoby. We understand that, but they're still struggling in the passing game to stay on the field in critical third down situations.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-and-outs are demoralizing to a football team. I mean, you know, it just takes the air out of the stadium, you know, and I think it's There's too many of them. I think, the inability to run the football is a huge problem. They're second to last in rushing. They're under 80 yards a game. They had 57 yesterday. It's hard to function when you're constantly, behind the chains. And I think the other thing is in fairness to Aiden O'Connell, it's really hard to evaluate his body of work yesterday, in my opinion. You don't have Devontae Adams. You don't have Jacoby Myers. You basically have Trey Tucker and 4 undrafted free agents that you're playing with. And I think, you're not able to run the ball. So you say, well, hey, geez, Aiden O'Connell didn't look so good yesterday. Well, I don't know that Peyton Manning or Tom Brady would have looked great yesterday either in those situations. I mean, if you look at not having Devontae Adams on the field and what it means to whoever the quarterback is for the Raiders, the quarterback rating is down 30 points. That's what he means when he's on the field. So when you don't have that production, you don't have a defense that has to double him, that makes things a whole lot easier for everybody. So I didn't like what I saw from the offense. I didn't think it was Aiden's best performance. But in fairness, we start evaluating his body of work, and it's hard to say, this guy can't do it. I think we've seen flashes of him last year in wins over the Chiefs and Chargers and Broncos. He's a capable player, but that wasn't everyone's best body of work yesterday.
You're right, Rich, and stay on that point. When you're talking about offensively, and the first 15 scripted plays seem like things going well. We've had a lead in games numerous times, and then you find a way to Alexander Mattison defensively. If I'm defense, I'm going to take Alexander Mattison away. He's been our best player so far, and then I'm going to find a way to take the young Brock away. And it just seems like we haven't been able to adjust to the defense adjustments. How do you lean on these young guys when you know that they're going to take the running game away, they're going to take Brock away? So where does that other aspect of this offense come from? And I think that's what JT is talking about. When you don't have, your top receivers on the football field, like, what do you do as an offense after that?
Well, your best receiver right now is the rookie tight end Brock Bowers.
Right.
I mean, he's a really good one, but eventually teams are going to start doubling him as well. I mean, he leads the NFL from tight end perspective with 37 receptions. He had 9 again yesterday. He's playing really well.
He's playing
but
good.
If you're a quarterback, your best, it's like the Patriots. They have one of the worst wide receiving cores in football. They have the fewest amount of receptions per game and the fewest amount of yards per game. And you wonder why Hunter Henry gets all the action. That's kind of what's happening right now with the Raiders. Your best receiver is your tight end. And you point out Alexander Mattison when he rushes the ball 14 times for 33 yards and averages 2.4 yards a carry. It's just hard. And I think right now when I look at this football team, not just from an offensive perspective, but from a defensive perspective, this is a team that doesn't handle adversity well. They get off to a good start. Everybody's feeling good, and something bad happens. There's a fumble. There's an interception. There's a block punt. And everybody kind of looks at each other like, oh, here we go again. That has to change. I don't know if there's an easy fix for it, but this is a team that has not handled adversity well. And what they have to understand is I don't care how good you are. Every week something's going to happen. Just look at the Chiefs. I mean, they're winning these games by like a point. They're coming from behind and
a shoestring.
They're not a great team right now, but they don't panic, and they know how to behave late in games. They know how to handle pressure. Always talk about players, quarterbacks, that two kinds of quarterbacks, those that feel pressure and those that apply pressure. Well, that cat in Kansas City, he's about applying it. I don't think we handle pressure well. I don't think we handle adversity well. And to me, that has to change. And I think it has to start in the locker room. I mean, we can coach them up all we want, but as you know, certain guys, when the game's on the line, they don't blink. They know what to do. They expect to make a play. They want the ball. And I don't know that we have enough of them right now in Las Vegas.
Rich, I'm interested in your grade on Justin Fields. He's a winner. He's won both games at Allegiant Stadium, and when he has to make a play, he does with his legs. Patrick Graham knew that coming in here. I thought this was the worst tackling game in my opinion. Not the business decision game. This, to me, was worse. I don't think they got to the ball quick enough. A lot of guys wanted to knock the ball out instead of tackle. Not enough players got low. And then Justin Fields picks his spots. He's not a great passer, but he sure knows how to run the football, especially on third down.
When I watched the game, and I watched the Lions-Cowboys game later, and I really felt like, we say this all the time, the more physical team usually wins. And I felt like the more physical team yesterday were the Raiders. Certainly the more physical team were the Lions when you look what they did to the Cowboys. And so that has to change as well. I mean, you can't have missed tackles. You can't let the quarterback slip out of the pocket. He's not an easy guy to get on the ground. He's very dangerous. And I think there was times where the Raiders had him, in the pocket, had him for a sack, and he made him miss, and he ran for a first down. And those are the things that are just so hard. And the tackling on Najee Harris, I mean, he's not an easy back to get on the ground, but you got to come in there with some attitude. You got to come in there with, with a purpose. And I just felt like there was a lot of arm tackling going on, a lot of guys thinking the other guy was going to get him on the ground. That's not the way you tackle Najee Harris. You got to get 11 hats to the football. You got to pursue, and you got to be the more physical team. And I don't know that was the case yesterday for the Raiders.
Yeah, you're talking about running the football and missed tackles. The running game yesterday for the Steelers just kind of on point. And you knew we were going to get, coming into the game. You knew, defensively they're going to have a good defense, but they were going to focus on running the football. And I just think when you're talking about Najee Harris in particular, man, yards after contact was just amazing for him yesterday.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where I think any fan in the stands knew what the game plan had to be. Let's stop the run. Let's force Najee Harris, the big back, to kind of go east and west and not let him go north and south. Let's not let him get started. And the other part of it is that includes the quarterback, because he's more dangerous running the ball than he is throwing the ball. So let's keep him in the pocket. Let's make him function as a pocket passer. Let's see what he can do in some tight windows. And that never happened yesterday. Once they got the lead, once they got the game under control, he wasn't really forced to make a lot of tough throws. So, that's the issue. The Raiders are playing from behind a lot. And when they get these leads early in the games, they squander them very quickly. And it just seems like, they can't get the momentum back in their favor. And I think, again, turnovers yesterday, you can't turn the ball over 3 times. You mentioned the penalties, the inability to run the football. The rushing differential has been a big story every week in the NFL. And people say, well, why is that such a big story? Well, it's a big story because it equates to opportunities on the offensive side of the ball. Like if they have the ball more because they're running it more and the time's off the clock, then we get less shots and offensively, less plays. And that's been a big story as well. So a lot to get fixed. It's going to be another difficult week. They've got to get healthy. They've got to get some guys back on the field. It'd be nice to get Devontae. I don't know what Devontae's situation is like. It'd be nice to get him back on the field, Jacoby Myers, and see what Aiden O'Connell can do with a full complement of wide receivers.
Now, Rich, one of my big takeaways from talking with you all week is about these fast starts. So the way I look at it, and I talk about it on the radio, they're prepared. They're coming out. They're ready to play. They're in the tunnel. They're fired up. The team meeting the night before, everything's working. Everything from talking to Max and other players, they are ready to play, and they come out with the lead. But as you continue to tell us, something flips in the game, and they can't stabilize it. And it's these turnovers, and I think it gets in their head, and maybe they try to play differently. But I still go back to the offense and some of these wasted downs, these 2nd and 8 handoffs into the pile where you're not doing anything. And you see some of the teams around the league, you see the reverses and, the quarterbacks are going out in routes. You see great thing, fake punts. And I just don't see the sense of urgency. I look at that clock during the game in the second half, that play clock, and it ticks down to 5, 4, 3. I'm saying, why did it take so long to get the play in, the play that you work out every week here in Henderson, and run it efficiently? What do you see there?
Well, you're right. I think, you can't play scared, but you can't coach scared either. And I think Luke Getsy has to do a better job. There's no question in my mind. I think when you study what they've put out on film here through the first 6 weeks of the season, I'll give you a great example. They have a 2nd and 11 to begin the fourth quarter, and Amir Abdullah gets it down to about the 1 foot line. And for some reason, they hurry up and they jump the ball. Now they've got they've got Brock Bowers at the right tight end position off the ball. Okay, off the ball. And on the other side, they've got a 5'9" DJ Turner off the ball. And then they've got the quarterback in the gun and Amir Abdullah offset. And you've got to gain about 6 inches or a foot. And they get the thing blown up. And then, Watt pops the ball out and they have a turnover there, inside the 1 yard line. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? Like, why would we do that? Why would we not get in the huddle? Why would we not get bigger bodies on the field? Why would we not get the quarterback under center? I see some of these short yardage and goal line situations, guys, in the NFL. It drives me crazy as a former player. And we're losing games. You look at the number of games that are lost. Atlanta lost a couple games earlier this season because they couldn't convert, a 4th and a foot. We're not even talking about a 4th and a long 1 or 2. And so I think, they have to look at what they're doing. I think schematically, from a structural standpoint, communication standpoint, simply not good enough right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Thank you, Rich. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate you.
All right, Rich.
You guys are the best.
There he is, the great Rich Gannon. When we come back, Divine Diablo had a big game. He was all over the field. We'll hear what he said when we come back right here on Raiders Roundtable.
You're doing it.
You got this.
Yes, this is great.
Hey Raider Nation, when you come to see the Raiders take the field at Allegiant Stadium, you should do it from the best seats in the house. So grab an ice cold Coors Light, and you can enter to win tickets for these Coors Light silver seats at Allegiant Stadium. With plush seating, state-of-the-art beverage coolers, and wireless phone chargers, there's no better place to watch your Raiders bring home the win. Celebrate responsibly.
Dude, you're looking ice cold.
You look ice cold, bro. Guys, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
Let's do it.
There comes a day
When I'll be the one.
you dream.
It's gonna.
It's gonna be Ray.
Dude, are you crying?
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by Coors Light. Choose chill, an official beer of Raider Nation. Celebrate responsibly. 2024, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, JT and EA, and these are our shows that you see all here from Silver and Black Productions. The Rundown with Lincoln Kennedy, Levi Edwards, Game Day with James Jones, Amber Theo Harris, and Amber does the Silver and Black Show, which is fantastic. All of these weekly programs you can find. Go to Raiders.com to see our times and programming here. We got a lot of work to do this week.
Yes.
As we get you ready for the Rams coming up here. Welcome back again. So after the game, Divine Diablo had a good game.
He did.
And there were a couple of big plays. He was very active. Good to have him back again. Here's what he said in the locker room.
In terms of the defense, I mean, where do you guys go from here? You played a relatively good game for the most part, but what's the next steps for you guys?
I feel like stopping the run game is most important. We haven't done that, I don't think, a single time this season. So first stop the run game and then go from there.
What do you think the biggest issue is in doing that, stopping the running game?
Assignments. I feel like some of the guys are doing their own thing, and we just got to make sure we're one piece, 111 piece. You got to make sure you do your job. That way, these linebackers, we can do our job, and the safeties can do their job. instead of worrying about, oh, there's not an edge now, so we got to go around and it just.
Interesting. I got a reaction out of you.
Great stuff by my man. And again, I go back to not effort, JT, because when you're, relying on players who haven't been in those situations several times, the guy can have the greatest pass rush move, but if you're facing a football team that has a mobile quarterback, you have to make sure that that great pass rushing move or that great move you're trying to do, it finishes with outside leverage, having your outside arm free, opposed to, man, I'm going to set him up and go inside. So once you do that, you may have done every single move the right way for 60 plays. On that 61st play, when you go inside, oh no, now the edge is not secure and the guy's outside. So right now, the margin for victory is very narrow. So every move you make has to be on point. It has to be the right one. You can't have a setup move going inside against a mobile quarterback. That gets us in trouble. So it's not effort, JT. It's technique at times. When I continue to talk about for this last couple games, it's about technique. And really, these young guys have to continue to work that technique in practice, after practice, before practice, when you're walking home, when you're walking through the facility, use your practice your moves. That's really what it's about right now, JT, and it continues to pop up time and time again, particularly later in the games when we're talking about getting guys on the ground. If you're a DB, a safety, I'm coming up, I have to make sure, man, I know and understand I have to go low to be able to get that running back to be able to elevate, get up in the air, and so now he's not going to be able to use his legs to get yards after contact.
There were 2 touchdowns where the edge wasn't secure.
Right.
And it was obvious there. You could see Najee Harris and Justin Fields getting off to the side there, and there was no containment there. And that's the problem.
And going back to that, and again, I go back to it wasn't effort. It was a play where, you know what, I'm going to utilize my inside move to get to the running back or get to the quarterback faster, but that's what that guy wants you to do. Sure. That quarterback, that running back is always wants that edge. That is so, that's kind of expensive property out there on the football field. So again, you have to really understand when you're going against these guys, and we talked about this how many times last year about the disciplined pass rush. You have to figure out a way to rush these guys if they're mobile and the running games. You have to be able to make sure your edges are really secure and forcing that thing inside.
Let's hear from the veteran running back, Amir Abdullah.
Is that kind of the key to where the offense has gone? Really, this season just hasn't been clean enough, consistent enough?
Yeah, man. We're driving. I can't put the ball on the ground when we're in the goal zone, red zone. And then if we're driving, we can't have holding calls, can't have a legal man downfield. We can't, it's a lot of things, man. And everyone's playing a part in it. And we just got to be better. We can't shoot ourselves in the foot because, we already got a lot of guys down. We got a lot of guys having to step up. So, the job is hard enough, and that's a good football team. So, like I said, Raiders can't play Raiders, and we'll respond.
He could be hosting the show.
Good stuff.
Now, what he said is exactly what happened.
Raiders can't play Raiders.
Yeah.
That's right. What he means by that is those missed opportunities in the critical areas, and just that fumble was a backbreaker. And again, it's not effort, guys. It's about being able to be accountable, understanding how you need to carry that ball when you're down in there, knowing that that Steelers football team, particular Watt in general, is going to try and punch at the ball. It has to be in your dome when you have that ball in your hands. So again, it's about accountability. It's about being disciplined in those key areas, knowing that valuable real estate on the football field, the red zone, you have to get out of there with numbers. You have to find a way to get in the end zone. If not, you get those 3 points, and it's just critical, the mistakes we were making down there, and you have to find a way to secure those opportunities to get points.
Jackson Powers-Johnson is a young player, but he's very accountable, as you'll see.
You can blame things on fumbles, you can blame things on picks, but everything starts up front. So if anybody wants to blame anybody, blame me. We can't. We need to be better. And, it's so great is we have 11 weeks to get better. And what I love about this team is we're resilient. We're going to go to the drawing board and we're going to get it done. So, can't put the ball on the ground, can't throw the picks, can't give them the ball. Got to play complementary football. It's getting repetitive. What's so great is you drop a rock on your foot a couple times. Next time you're not going to drop it on your foot. So we're just going to go to the drawing board and try and get better. And that's what's so great about this team. So.
He's saying the right things. Yeah, I love him because he knows where the camera is. Hey. He knows what to say, and he's a leader coming out of Oregon, and he's proven that.
He is, and you're talking about a leader, a young guy, right? And I don't think it's scripted. I think that's what he feels. He feels like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be accountable here. I'm a leader. I'm a football player. I love what I do. I appreciate where I am right now. We got to get better. All those things I think everyone in Raider Nation understands and knows. But I like the fact that that young man is being a leader. And we love to see that from that young guy. And if that's what we have to work with, the youth, I'll take that all day long. I take that young man, love his energy and how he attacks defenders, running downfield, jumping over piles. I love that about him.
So do I.
And hopefully that was a bad call. That was a bad call. Took away a touchdown for us, and just got to play better. But I love that leadership from that young man.
Let's take a look around the AFC West as Kansas City was on a bye and Denver played the Chargers there. So the schedule's getting away from the Raiders here. They need to get a win at the Rams here. We'll take a look at the Chiefs. They got a tough one in Santa Clara. The Chargers at Arizona. Jim Harbaugh is okay. They're a little bit of a scare with an irregular heartbeat, but he's okay. The Broncos dropped the game. They're at New Orleans. Spencer Rattler should start that game. And then the Raiders are at the Rams. And look, when you get under 500, you start looking at 500 again.
Yeah.
You don't look long term. So to get one game closer to getting back to even, this game against the Rams is critical, as we know, because with their wide receivers being down, like the wide receivers have been down here, and the fact that they're well coached, they don't have Aaron Donald anymore, but they got a coach who can scheme up and knows what to do against a defense. I think this is a big week for Patrick Graham because he knows Sean McVay is going to be a wizard drawing it up in the lab, and we got to be ready for that.
Yeah, we do, and I think all the guys and people who watch this show are film junkies and understand Raiders. Go back and look at that the game a couple years ago against the Rams when Baker Mayfield there and see how he schemed us up with a short week. I think we'll see a lot of that going forward. But this is, again, another great time for us to kind of reset, get back on the road where you're able to kind of get to that team hotel and just be amongst yourselves. And Raiders kind of talk amongst yourselves, finding out, hey, what do we need to do in this situation here that we presented with last week. So we need to have a really good week of practice again, work on those things that we were able to accomplish this week, and then get it done on Sunday against the Rams.
We got to get some guys off the injury report.
Yes, we do.
That's what's going to be critical here. Guys got to get healthy. Guys got to play with violence. Guys got to be accountable, and they have to have a great week of practice. This is a critical moment coming off this loss to the Steelers to have a short trip to a friendly environment. There's going to be a lot of Raider Nation.
Raider Nation,
a lot of Raider Nation in LA.
We
know that. But the Raiders got to put together one big performance. Let's see if we get that against the LA Rams. Thanks for watching Raiders Roundtable.